Welcome to the Goody Room, your one-stop shop for everything movies, TV, and more. We know you want the goodies. Welcome into the Goody Room. I'm Matt the Nachos. With me always is my co-host. He's the Jarvis to my Iron Man, Frankie Rock. What's going on, Frank?
You know, I'll take that one too. That's a good one. I'm not much is going on. Excited for this episode. I think we have some great topics tonight. I'm pumped. How about you? How you doing?
I mean, you told me we got apparently a new fan that wanted to identify themselves to us. So
well, I got to tell you, it's always nice because I am really bad at promoting the show to my friend, our friends. I feel bad. Like, I feel like we come across, oh, listen to my show. You know what I mean? So I don't really talk about it to people we know. I bring it up to people I don't know because then I don't feel bad. But it's always nice when I was talking with my good buddy the other day. We were talking about music as we always do. And she had made an off mention about something that happened in one of our episodes. And I was like, wait a minute, do you listen to the show? And she goes, oh, I've been listening since like episode 1. And I wanted to just give a quick shout out to our new fan, Kim. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your viewership, and hopefully we can keep entertaining you. And then there were 6 fans. Look at that.
Yeah, we're growing every day.
Slowly but surely.
Let's talk about our number one fan. But he's kind of the number one fan, but he's also kind of like public enemy number one to us.
Right. We were promised sponsorship that never came.
Handshake deals were made.
That's right. Over nachos, no less.
That's true. They were over nachos.
There were so many nachos that day.
But our non-sponsor, right? Frank was the champion. I'm going to start here. Frank was the champion that I needed. On Tuesday, he purchased Deadpool and Wolverine, and it showed up on his Movie Anywhere, and I then proceeded to watch it 2 times in a row, as did Frank.
Yes. I mean, it just felt right. It felt natural. It, had to be done.
Yeah, and it just did. It just did. It made me feel good too. He brought me, put me in a good mood. I appreciate that. So then I get a text from saying that the non-sponsor stopped halfway through the movie because he didn't like it.
He gave, I will not use his words, not that they were unmentionable, but it was not too far away from a scathing review. He felt some type of way about it, but I was able to swing in, like Spider-Man and say, hey, you should really give it. Did you make it to this part? You should give it about 15 more minutes. And he ended up finishing it. And he said that I think the final review it wasn't as bad as I thought it was in the beginning. And I think, and I'm probably off on the number, he said it might make his top 200 movies of all time.
Nice. Yeah, that's good to hear. I just, want them to know that, it was quite annoying that they didn't finish the movie, and then I had to go restart the movie because we're also using the Movies Anywhere together.
Right. He was annoyed with you that you had started and he had to find where he was. Everybody was annoyed. But, here I was watching it on Amazon Prime. I didn't have to deal with any of this like you peasants, Well,
if you just watch it the whole way through the first time, this issue wouldn't exist.
It's like back in the day when you had to go to the video store, be kind, rewind type of thing. It's etiquette.
Yeah, the non-sponsor would know.
Maybe when I see the non-sponsor here, when he comes out to help us out with the new baby, when she arrives here shortly, I'll do a crash course on Movies Anywhere etiquette for you.
But it just still baffles me. Like, obviously, the movie's not for everyone. I think personally, from what I've seen, is the people that have a tough time with it really didn't understand a lot of the references that go on. Like, it's comic book movie reference heavy,
and I think that also doesn't really quite cover it because it is like it's like a 7-layer cake of comic book references. Like the references have references, you know.
Yeah, yeah, 7-layer cakes like your brother makes, right?
You know what? Look forward to it every Christmas Eve. All right, enough about it. Enough about it. You know, again, watch Deadpool and Wolverine. It's got the stream review from us many times over. Matt's going for the record. The record's from when he was watching when Mortal Kombat hit HBO Max a couple years ago. I think what was it, 15 times you watched it?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was just so easy to watch.
Right. I've still only seen it the one time, and I'm still good. Like I have no desire to watch it. I would watch the 1995 Mortal Kombat before I would watch the new one again.
Your soul is mine.
Yeah, baby. Oh, so cheesy, so good.
But anyways, we just kind of wanted to hit on those brief things. But we'll go ahead and get into the topic for today's show. So we're going to mix it up here. Going to bring a Goody Room lecture coming to you today. So for those of you that are new, there's nobody new. We know the 6 people that listen to the show now. But Goody Room lectures are just topics we want to kind of bring up and talk about, a little bit of a change up from, our typical kind of recommendation type of show. So today we thought it would be fun to talk about franchises that just won't die.
I was waiting for you to. Did you not have the sound clip of Austin Powers going, "Why won't you die"?
No, I don't. I do not have that. I don't believe.
The way that you were leaning in the camera, I was like, okay, here it comes, and then you were just like giving me the look, like say something. I was like,
keep it on your toes, man. Keep it on your toes. If my back's against the wall, and I'm looking at you like this.
Sorry. Well, I'm happy that we're doing a lecture. I can't even remember the last time we did a lecture, and this is such a great topic. Franchises, if you're not in the know, these are movies like series. I'm going to use like Indiana Jones for an example, which finally did die last summer. But for now,
I
think they had to wait for Harrison Ford to die before they can do another one. But
they don't.
They probably will. I don't know, but either way, it's just these franchises that you every couple of years you see it's like, wait, another one again? Like, how many is this now? And they stop numbering them. They're starting to get like, be like Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, and it's like, what is Dead Reckoning? We still don't know what Dead Reckoning is.
But yeah, just there's always those things that just keep coming back, and you're just leave it alone. Just stop. And I thought the first I had to kind of group these all together, but the Halloween movies, and that includes the movie Halloween, right? Jason, Freddy, even Scream. Scream's come back, and look, now they're making like a bunch of those again.
Right. In fact, they just announced the new Scream is coming out in February of 2026. So there's another one coming down the pipeline. Be ready. The last 2 were great, but also how many more times can these poor people be traumatized by like a different killer,
Yeah, and that's kind of like, it's just like, in my opinion, you've seen them all. Like, there's nothing different about them.
Sure. And the Halloween movies, I'm going to start there, the ones with Michael Myers, because I feel like that series has been rebooted now like 2 or 3 times. Each time it's been rebooted, it's the same type of thing. You know what you're getting into. He's going to get out of the insane asylum. He's going to find that mask, the William Shatner mask. He's going to get the knife, and he's going to go hunting teenagers in Haddonfield, Illinois. But each time they do bring it back, the style of it is just a little bit different. They keep it fresh. And, there was the original series, and then there was Rob Zombie's series. And then there was like, okay, we're going to pretend only the very, very first happened. And then we're going to do 3 more after that. That started out fine, got ridiculous. But you're shaking your head. But I think with these ones versus like the Jason movies, they at least half attempted to stick out, different from the last ones.
All right, I'll give you that.
Right.
Like the Scream movie. Actually, I like the new Scream movies. Like
Same.
I've been really enjoying those, but at the same time, now I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, all right, enough's enough.
Right. And I think it was smart that when they brought it back with Scream 5 maybe, and
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah,
right.
I know what you're talking about. The
It was
first time they brought it back.
it was like when the little girl goes, "Welcome to the third act," I think it was smart that they gave us a completely new set of characters to focus on. The legacy characters were there, but they were they were in it maybe 10 minutes tops. I think that's smart.
Tastefully done. It was tastefully done. They were like it was like the little jimmies on top of your ice cream.
Little Jimmy's. Oh, little Pittsburghese coming out there. Okay. Little Jimmy's
Yeah,
on top.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Sprinkles. You prefer sprinkles?
I prefer sprinkles, yes. um, but yeah, so getting to it, like with the Halloween movies, yes, you changed the style a little bit, but it's the same movie. Michael Myers is hunting teenagers. Somehow they shoehorn Jamie Lee Curtis's character back into it. And it's revealed that he's her half brother, whatever, and trauma. I don't know. I guess so. They did those last three movies. It was Halloween, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and they were like, okay, that this is going to be it. Okay. Before Halloween Kills even came out, the studio announced plans to reboot within 5 years after Halloween Ends. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, why should we care about this one if you're already telling us there's going to be a completely new one coming out separated from this one? Do you not have faith in this one?
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, I think we kinda made our point on that one, and I kinda wanna get into maybe what's another franchise that you just wish would just die off, like, stop touching it?
I am gonna go with let me think here. I think the Predator movies just need to be done. In fact, without spoiling what we're going to do in the next episode, Matt and I recently kind of binge watched a documentary and a movie from the 80s. It got me really in the mood to watch one of my other favorite 80s movies, one of my all-time favorite movies of all time, Predator, the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not saying it's the best movie of all time. I just really love it. I think it's expertly paced. I think the action is just slick, and it's just such a great experience. The characters are so over the top, and I understand why they would put this into a franchise. But every movie that has come after the original, they caught lightning in a bottle once, and there's just they just were never able to recreate it. Even when they put it up against, it was the Alien versus Predator movies. Those movies were awful. So
Mm,
there just wasn't for me the same experience. So I watched the latest one that was on Hulu called Prey. That
right.
was
I was gonna say, did you see that? Because I thought that was pretty decent.
it was probably the best sequel or best Predator movie since the original. But at this
I think
point,
it's a prequel, isn't it?
say again?
Isn't it prior? It's like a prequel, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a prequel. It's a prequel. But for me, it's just a little too late. Like, why weren't you putting the amount of effort in? Like, there was a sequel with Danny Glover. What the heck?
Yeah,
What's he doing in a Predator movie?
I do remember that one. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm with you, like, it's that's a pretty good one. It's really kind of the same thing. Like in the other ones after that were not any good or successful at all. I just it's kind of like it's a nostalgia thing, right? That's
right.
what they feed off of. I mean, they do it today when they announce these sequels. We just talked about one, Beetlejuice, right?
Hmm.
That's what they're feeding off of. Especially people like our age now because we have kids,
Yeah,
right? And we're gonna try to get our kids into the things we grew up with, which we're both dads. We both do that, right?
right. Oh, and I'm gonna play right into their hand most of the time. But this is just one because I love the first one so much. I really, anytime I watch one of the new ones, I don't know why I keep watching. I guess I just can't look away. I guess there's just some hope in me, like maybe it will be the same. Um,
It'll
but
be
it just
time.
right, yeah, and I always had to have that, like, lower your expectations talk with myself, like, it's not gonna be the Schwarzenegger original. There's just no way you top that, there's no way you make it better. Uh, that's why for me, I just wish it would go away and stop, and, like, can we just enjoy the original for what it is? That's one, you know, you can go see movies, they'll replay them at theaters and they'll put a live orchestra in front of it and they'll play the music as the movie's going on. Predator is one I don't know if I would go, but I would consider going for that one because the musical score is kind of a character in its own. Because in the last like half hour of the movie, when it's just Schwarzenegger against the alien, there's like little to no dialogue at all, and it hits all the right notes. And it's the guy that did the Back to the Future music, so it's expertly done.
Yeah. And kind of speaking about feeding off of like our childhood, Toy Story, like I thought, listen, you shouldn't even have made four, but you made four,
Right.
right? And four was Toy Story. You still liked it, right? It was still enjoyable. But like if anyone remembers that movie, Woody stays behind and
Mhm.
the rest of them move on. So how do you bring Woody back in? Because it's not Toy Story without Woody.
So I, like everyone, thought the third one was probably one of the most perfect endings for a group of characters you're going to get. I saw the fourth one time in theaters, and at the time I liked it, seen it. I haven't watched it since, but it's now been what 4 or 5 years since it's come out. The only thing I can remember about that movie was just how big of a leap in the animation and the technology, how much better it looked. And I remember telling your wife when Woody was up on the screen, I'm looking at the material his like the toy was made off of, and I'm thinking to myself like, I know how that feels. That's how real it looked. So that's all I remember. So I guess it didn't stand the test of time like the other three did. Even when my kid has it, I know that my wife will put it on for my kid. I just when it comes on, I'm just like, nah, I'm not gonna stick around for this one. I'm gonna keep the one like good review of it in my head that I have, but they're making a fifth one. It's coming, I think,
Yeah,
2027 or
that's what I'm
2028.
talking. That's what I'm talking about. How are you gonna make another one? Just let it go.
They really should. And, but I think the state of Pixar is right now, they've just proven that it's these legacy franchises like Inside Out too, because in the last couple years they were trying to create new franchises like Elemental and Turning Red. I think Turning Red one was one.
Yeah, but Elemental is really underrated. Like that's a better movie than people think.
We've talked about it before on this channel. Elemental is like severely underrated. It's probably the best oh my gosh, I can't talk. Best Disney movie since
Unique,
Moana.
unique New York.
The
The
Human
Human
Torch was denied a bank loan. I'm over here like Porky Pig. A bleep bleep bleep. That's all, folks.
But anyways, yeah, you are like Porky Pig over there. But
Right.
yeah,
But yeah,
like but Inside Out, that's two, and two made sense. Now, if you take it further into, I'm gonna have a problem, right? Because like
I could see her going into high school, but after that, it's like get your emotions in line.
what other emotions do you bring into it, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with that one. And so like that was the nice thing about the new Inside Out is they brought new emotions into it, right? That you don't really experience as a kid. So that was a perfect like sequel. And then I get what you're going with like the new stuff. And Turning Red, I don't even think that went to theaters. I think that was a release on the streaming service, wasn't it?
Correct. But there was like Raya and the Last Dragon, which was pretty good. But
That was good. Yeah,
yeah,
that was a
that
good one.
that could easily have been a franchise if it wasn't released like during COVID or Onward. Onward was pretty good too, but they just weren't critically and financially hitting like your Toy Stories or your Incredibles or anything. honestly, if they're gonna bring anything back, where's Bug's Life too, baby? Like, let's go.
That you know what? That's what needs to come back. All right,
Yeah.
Bugs Life too. Right?
Let's
We'll write a letter.
we'll get the what are they called? The shock things and be like, clear, and bring it right back to life.
But like kind of even moving off of that and onto another childhood thing that we grew up with, right? Jurassic Park.
I am blown away that I just read the other day that the new movie with Scarlett Johansson just wrapped. It's coming next summer. I feel like, man, didn't even let the last trilogy breathe a little bit. They're like, here's another one. It's like, dude, the last couple, Jurassic World was great. Love Jurassic World. But then the
Should have
next
stopped. Should have stopped after that.
should have just stopped. But they got north of $1 billion, and they're like, you're getting more. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because they know we're gonna go see it, which we did,
We
right?
did. We were there. We were there.
But like that definitely needs to die because like you're right. Like you opened the park, right? We
Right.
got that. We saw like the park fall. Okay, you want to make a sequel, whatever, and then it just like, but what are you
Here's
doing this time around?
here's what they need to do. They need to stop teasing us and saying, okay, you're gonna get dinosaurs and humans living together in the real world together. And they keep saying that that's going to happen and we're going to see that, and they only give us like little tidbits, and then they're off in some jungle somewhere doing, or in that one they were at the haunted mansion one. And it's just like, quit promising us or teasing this and give us that movie. That would be much better. Like, what was the last one called? Dominion? Is that what the last one was called?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Fine, but half the plot was about locusts or lotus. I don't. Am I saying that right?
What they were doing is they designed a lotus or whatever it is, like an insect that went around and killing crops that weren't owned by that company.
Right. What? That is not what I paid to see. I paid to see Giant T Rex. You know what I mean? So to me, when I was in the theater and I saw that was the plot line, I was like, this has to be the last one. They need to just, or reboot, for heaven's sake. If you're gonna keep giving them to us.
Yeah, but I don't even want to see like maybe reboot it, but reboot it like years down the road. Like you said, that trilogy just ended, right?
Hmm.
A couple years ago, right? It's been a little like not that long. Anything major?
2022, maybe 20. Yeah, I think it's 2022. Yeah.
Yeah, like not that long ago, right?
Right.
So like, give it at least 10 years before you're gonna give me a reboot.
Right. And it kind of very reminiscent of the Dark Knight trilogy had just ended. Like, I don't even think we had the Dark Knight Rises on Blu-ray yet, and they already had announced Ben Affleck was going to be the next Batman. And it's like, it's just kind of like whiplash in a way. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like, can we enjoy this one a little bit before there? I
Well,
feel
and just to add there, like that was crazy though too, because that trilogy was one of the best trilogies like ever put together.
right. They didn't give us time to want another Batman. We were still like riding the wave of, perfection that was, in my opinion, perfection that is the Dark Knight trilogy. But yeah, that's kind of how it's the feeling I'm getting with them saying like, hey, you're getting another Jurassic Park, but this time with Scarlett Johansson, which fine actress, don't get me wrong, she's gonna do great, but could it have been another something else, not Jurassic Park?
Yeah, it feels like it's like a soul for a soul situation. Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. All right, let me bring up this franchise. If you would have asked me 3 months ago, yes, I would wanted it to die, but now recently, after the latest entry, no, I think I want a little more, and that's the Alien franchise.
It still needs to die.
Still needs to die.
It,
What happens when you watch Romulus and you might like it? What do you say then?
that's true. I mean, I haven't seen Romulus. For those of you that don't know, I actually don't watch a lot of films like that, but I only watch them when I hear like about the cinematography and like how well done it is, like the script and the dialogue. Like I'll give any movie a chance and watch it at least once if I know it is like a well produced, like, production type of film. And Romulus, from we talked about it in our episode, from seeing it, I only saw the trailer and I already was like, this looks like it's fucking like, excuse my language, I didn't mean to do that, but
We
well,
made it. We made it almost a year and a half in, and we got our first swear. That's all right,
put it
Moving
on
on.
the floor, baby. But yeah, like I knew it was going to be pretty good, right? So, and Frank saw it and he really liked it, and I was like, I feel like I have to watch this movie.
I was mad the whole time I'm sitting in the theater that I wasn't sitting in an IMAX theater because I was just like, oh my gosh, why didn't I see this in IMAX? It was that massive and expansive and gorgeous. Anyway, go ahead.
But like kind of where I'm going with this is that even though that I'm probably gonna like it, it doesn't excuse the fact that there's a million of these.
Right. So I think I'm not sure when this was planned or went into production, but it was very conveniently released after another franchise pulled a very similar maneuver. Um, if you're not familiar with the Saw franchise, the last Saw movie, which was Saw 10, was released. But in the timeline of the movies, it doesn't take place like as the 10th one. It really is like the second movie in the timeline. It would be Saw 10, and then it goes into Saw 2. So Alien Romulus takes place between the original Alien movie and its sequel, Aliens. And to be honest, for both franchises, that's right in their sweet spot where the story was most critically acclaimed and well received. So it makes sense to me to put both those movies there. And I think both movies really benefited from being placed in that part of the timeline because they were able to play in those sandboxes again. Will
But that's fine.
Right.
But you do it once, and then you call it quits. Kind of like Star Wars with Rogue One, right?
Yes.
You don't get a sequel. New Hope is the sequel to Rogue One.
Exactly. And so you took the words out of my mouth. What I was about to say is
because people want to hear me, not you.
okay. Well, then go ahead and say what I was going to say.
You
But
were going to say how great I am, how much you appreciate me. Thank you, Matt. You're the best. I'm going to go ahead and induct you, Matt, into the Goody Room Ring of Honor. Congratulations, Matt.
you're welcome from that Spider-Man Funko Pop on your shelf back there. Shut up. Anyway, but Alien Romulus, don't make a direct sequel to that. As Matt was saying, the sequel is Aliens, and that's a great movie. If anything, pick another unrelated spot somewhere else. Doesn't have to be far in the future. Could be in the past. Well, no, they did movies in the past, and that didn't really work out. Can't do that. So forgot about those for a moment. But yeah, I honestly, it makes me a little hungry for more. But you're right; they probably should stop. It's like, okay, you did this one that was great.
I think you bring up a good point, though. Like maybe it dies once all your timeline spots are taken up. Like there should be a rule on how many sequels you can do. In my opinion, it's probably like 2 to 3 is probably like the sweet spot for that.
Yeah, I think any more after 3, you get into Toy Story territory or another franchise that we're going to be talking about towards the end of the episode. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Yeah. But you pick, you do the prequel, right? So you do your 2 to 3 sequels,
Mm-hmm.
and you do the prequel, right? And then maybe you do another movie later on that there's maybe a gap in somewhere in those timelines that you can fill a storyline, and then you call it.
I think here's what they could do, and it's not all out yet, and it's not fully realized, but I feel as if it's going in a very great direction. Take note from what the Hunger Games is currently doing. They released a prequel that was almost all the way at the beginning of the Hunger Games, and we got to see what the games were like before the glitz and the glamour and the propaganda was really introduced. it's a good starting point. In fact, to be honest, the more I think about it, the book that it was based off of and the movie adaptation probably is my favorite one. I just really dig what was going on there.
Yeah, I kind of look at that one. I think you make a good point there, right? If you're going to go back and do a prequel, you got to go back to the very, very, very beginning. And it's, kind of a trilogy. I know we've kind of, it's kind of on our list. I kind of wish it would die because of the TV series, even though I'm really kind of almost enjoying the season. Finale is tomorrow, by the way. But Lord of the Rings, right, with The Hobbit,
Yeah.
and it went all the way back, right? And you did that story. You got 3 movies out of that. So, I mean, kind of the same thing.
Right. But with the Hunger Games, there's a new book coming in March, and there's going to be a movie. It jumps like 40 years, still before Katniss, different time period though, and we're going to be seeing a big jump of how things progress, and it's going to follow still not the young Cornelius Snow, but a youngish, probably like middle-aged Cornelius Snow. And it's going to focus on the Hunger Games that Katniss's mentor, Haymitch, Woody Harrelson's character, where he won his Hunger Games. So
But that's great. That's great.
Honestly,
what I'm saying, I think you're right on that, right?
When I read the books,
you're going to get multiple movies out of that.
Yeah, when I read the books and they mentioned what happened during that Hunger Games, I remember closing the book for a minute and thinking, like, where is this book? Like, this sounds awesome. But I think that my hope would be like after that one, they jump another like 20 years or whatever and pick up right before Katniss comes into play, get like that last Hunger Games pre-Katniss. I think that would be a good trilogy capper. So hopefully that comes to fruition for him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know, Frank. I think it's time. I think we got to bring up,
Well, you had started let's do Lord of the Rings, and then we'll do the big finish. What do you think?
What's left to say about Lord of the Rings that hasn't already been said?
Stop making them. That's what needs to be said. Just stop.
We already said that though. I know they're coming out with the Gollum, the search for Gollum or whatever it is.
Right, and it's funny to me because both in that storyline is maybe two to three sentences in the book. Just throwing that out there. Just very, very brief, and it reeks of desperation. Viggo Mortensen and Ian McKellen are not young men anymore, and if they do pay them to bring him back, which Viggo Mortensen has alluded, he goes, "I will do it, but they will be paying me lots of money." Like he's stated in interviews, and it's like they'll pay you, but it's not going to be good. It's just not.
Yeah, they do need to stop making those. But yeah, I want to get here before we run out of time because I know we could probably talk about this one forever. But it is the Fast and the Furious. I mean, if you heard the lecture, right, and if you didn't think we were going to talk about the Fast and the Furious, you were out of your mind. Frank, what number are we on?
We're currently waiting on number 11 to come out.
Outrageous.
Outrageous.
I mean, it's not even about street racing anymore. That's what it was about. It was about street racing.
To their credit, though, I think they were wise to evolve the franchises beyond street racing because it allowed them to continue on and got some of the best entries, like Fast 5, 6, and 7, I think are, I don't even watch the originals anymore. I'll only watch like 5 through 7, to be honest with you.
I mean, I agree with you, right? And like those were good.
They were really good.
I like 4, 5, and 6, right? Like that's what you're talking about.
I forgot about 4. 4 is a good one too. I forgot 4 was good.
Like,
that's the one with Braga.
Yeah, right. Well, that's that when they kind of brought Vin Diesel back into it and Paul Walker and all those characters, right? That was 4 because they had done Tokyo Drift, which is so bad. And they brought all those, so they brought all those guys back, and then they kind of did 4 was successful, and then they did their own little trilogy, and then it started changing into now they're like superheroes defending the world.
Here's when I knew it had gone too far. there was a minute there where everybody online was joking like, "We gotta take him to space. Come on, you won't do it." And the studio was like, "The heck we won't." And they sent him to space in that one. And I remember sitting in the theater just I was laughing, but I was not laughing for the right reason, you know.
That was so outrageous. Like it's just now, it's how outrageous can they get with it? Like it doesn't
It
make any sense.
it kind of in a way like Captain America Civil War when Spider-Man makes the comment and says your shield does not, obey the laws of physics at all. Even in the good movie like 4 through 6 or 7, the physics obviously were out of control. But in the last one there's like that chase through, well, no, in the ninth one when they go to space, he's like riding a big convoy that's been flipped over down the hill. He throws a grenade in, somehow makes it flip over, jumps back inside as that's happening, grabs the wheel and like turns it so it doesn't drive off a cliff and makes it. It's just so out of control. Like they're just like, come on, like what is happening here?
And there's never like any blood. There's never any scars or any damage to him or
No.
like his like shirts or anything like that.
No one ever, there's not even like a flesh wound. No one gets nipped. And it's raining bullets in these movies. Like it's nuts. And don't get me wrong, I love a good action movie. I love a good action movie that just is outrageous, but it's just like this is the ninth one. You can only hear Vin Diesel's like the family so many times, or one last ride. Dude, you're on your 10th last ride, my guy.
Yeah, right. You've cashed it in, buddy. It's all done. But like we still watch them. We still
Yeah,
get
I
to see.
mean, at this point, because apparently 11 is supposed to be the last one, I'm going to. I will watch just to see how it ends. I will. I won't say hate watch. There are parts even in that ninth one that I just hated on. Like I think John Cena's character was a good addition. I thought that was interesting, but you know, out of left field in movie 9, we're now learning about this half brother they had. That these people are all about family. Never once mentioned this half brother ever.
Well, I think in the last one, like what is it? Someone's mom's like living there, and I was like, where did this lady come from?
Yeah, it's like an aunt or something, and she's just kind of there, and she's there for a scene. She bounces. Like at least when they introduced Jason Statham's character's mom, like that made sense, a little bit.
Yeah. But like I think we've kind of made our point. It's another franchise that just won't die. Frank, any other final comments on Fast and the Furious? Because I kind of want to bring something else up to you.
Okay, well, I also had an idea to bring up. So why don't you? I'm good on Fast and the Furious. Why don't you bring yours up?
Are you good on franchises though, or you got another franchise you want to air your grievance on another franchise?
It's not a grievance. It's just like how much longer do you think the MCU can really go on?
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about actually. So the Force once again is bringing us together.
I figured, but I was just like, oh, let's see what he has to say.
We were talking about it because you kind of mentioned already, like the kind of joke about Captain America's shield, and we were reminiscing about the MCU, right, and talking
Right,
about it, and it's really going to depend on how this next Avengers level threat goes, right,
right.
and is Doctor Doom really what we want and what we need? And I told you I'm not sure I'm ready for the possible emotional roller coaster that could be, especially when he pops up, right? It's Robert Downey Jr.,
Yeah.
Iron Man, right? And he looks at Tom Holland Spider Man and says, "I don't even know who you are."
Oh, that's gonna destroy me. And I think were we not? It was you that I was telling that in the text messages the other day. I was like, because I said I don't think what emotional toll can they really take on me anymore? And then I was like, oh wait, when something like that happens, that's gonna ruin me.
And I simply replied back, Frank, this is gonna be like when Iron Man looked at Captain America with just sadness and anger in his face and said to Cap, "Did you know?" And Cap
or
replies, "Yes."
or when later he's walking away, and Iron Man says, "You don't deserve that shield. My father made that shield. You don't deserve it." Cap says nothing, just gives a and you just hear the shield drop like a ton of bricks. Oh, it
Yeah,
kills me.
that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get it's the same thing right at the
Same
end of
directors, same writers. Oh my gosh, they're gonna do this to us. They're gonna kill.
it's I mean, but that's what made those movies great, the emotional attachment to it, right? Like
Right.
even when Iron Man, sacrificed himself, at the end of Endgame, right? Like that's what they're looking for, right? That's what makes a good movie. We're so involved in it that it gets a hold of our emotions. That's why I tell people like even a simple movie like Elemental, right? That's a deep movie.
People had asked me why I liked Elemental as much as I did, and the answer is very simple. It's very much so reminiscent of the story of my wife and I. Like how I'm definitely the water in that scenario, the water character, and she's definitely the fire, and what they went through to find each other in love. Like I emotionally connected immediately with that movie. For it really hit home in a lot of different ways, in great ways, by no bad ways or anything.
Yeah, but that's to the MCU, circling back to that. I think it's going to depend on that. Uh, they need to reboot X Men. Like
Yeah.
that needs to be rebooted. You need to do it the way that we kind of want to see it. Uh, and Fantastic Four needs to happen the right way too.
I think from everything that I've seen from Fantastic Four and what they plan, from what I've read, I think we're in for a great time. I think they're going to do
Yeah,
it right this time. Um, Also, with that, going back to those emotional beats, I think that's what a lot of these newer MCU movies have been missing.
yes,
They're just, I walk away thinking like, okay, that was, excuse me, fine, but like, I'm not like rewatching them years later and still getting gut punched whenever, Iron Man asked, "Did you know?"
the writing has not been the same.
It's
Like they're
not.
just yeah, like they're not. It's just an action film.
Right. It's almost, dare I say, it's almost kind of like a Fast and the Furious movie. It's just like, oh, here's another one.
Yeah, that's kind of and their care and we said it before too. They're like the C-list characters,
Right.
and they really need. That's where I think they're going. Right, they're kind of bringing these other places, and they're actually kind of considering some of these things because now they've seen that they see it's not working. We
Right.
need to pivot. Right, so we'll
Um, so funny enough about the MCU, it's not related, but kind of related. I had COVID at the beginning of the month, and I just rewatched a bunch of old MCU movies. Like I was just like, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. I might as well watch them. One of those ones that I watched was Iron Man 2, and I could not tell you the last time I watched Iron Man 2. It's
I
been
want I want my bird.
no, my bird. But it's funny, and even with it'd been like a year and a half since I watched Endgame, and I forgot certain parts of Endgame. It's funny just like what you forget about movies if you don't watch them. And one of the things I completely forgot about Iron Man 2 was the fact that like there's really no score in that movie. It's just all AC/DC. It was a beautiful thing. Like I forgot, like I was remembering like back when we were in college when they were promoting that movie, they released like an AC/DC album that was just all their hits, and it just had the Iron Man armor on it, and I was just like, oh, good times. And it was back like that was like the first one they really started, like Black Widow showed up, things like that. It's not the best movie, but it definitely, like the whole Justin Hammer character when he's the ex-wife and he's all the hammer tech, and there's a lot of great moments in that movie I just kind of completely forgot about. But I've been jamming to AC/DC ever since. It's been a good couple weeks.
Yeah, so I think where we're both at is it can happen. I can see a path, but you got to show me first, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
not going to say they're back and they can survive. I'm going to give them this chance. I think we've seen that it can happen. I personally liked the last Ant Man. I know some people kind of didn't, but I thought that was a good movie. We just talked about, earlier, Deadpool and Wolverine, kind of praising that again, right? That's part of the MCU now. So
I thought, and one of those movies that I rewatched was Black Panther 2, The Wakanda Forever. And that movie, I'm going to go on record and think and say within 10 years time, it was a hit. It wasn't as warmly received as the first one, but I think like 10 or so years from now, that one's going to be looked back on as something that was really, better than it was. It will be
that's
received better.
another that's another very underestimated movie. Like that, I actually really like Wakanda Forever. I've watched it
Right.
multiple times. Now that you brought it up, it kind of makes me want to watch it again. But that I agree with you. Like there are some movies that have been done during that time frame. But kind of like you, right? People got fatigued by
Yes.
it. You needed a break from it, and because they were just pumping out, all these movies, and it was, almost every year you were kind of getting spoiled. But like the thing that made the original ones great was you got the characters, one, you wanted to see, but two, they teased you along the way. There was always a bigger threat coming,
There
right?
was there was never not breadcrumbs. There was always
Yes,
little breadcrumbs, and it gave us kind of like after every episode, House of Dragon or Game of Thrones, we're like texting like, "Oh, what do you think? Oh, did you see that? That only can be this." You know what I mean?
exactly. And they stopped doing that for a
Yeah,
while,
yeah.
and it kind of killed it. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. Any other comments on that, Frank, before we end today's show?
I will say though, rewatching those movies as I was sick, just I didn't watch them all, but I watched the ones that I knew like I just like generally loved, and then I threw in a random one like Iron Man 2, and rewatching them really did remind me why I love those movies and why I just could not wait for the next one, and I was going opening night and things like that. So it was a nice refresher, and it kind of with Deadpool and Wolverine, I am looking forward to the, I'm not so much looking forward to the next Captain America, but Thunderbolts is coming out directly after. I even texted you. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna come to Pittsburgh. We're gonna go see that one together." Like that for me to say that after the last year, like I'm not going to see superhero movies, and to get excited and be texting you and like set those things up. That's all part of the experience for me. So like it's good to be back. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, yeah, that's I'm glad to have you back because I miss this Frank, right? I'm watching all these new series, and I'm watching the movies, and you're not even watching. I told you not to watch them because they were that bad, but I had to know. I just had to watch it. So,
Right.
anyways, you know, thank you to our new fan. Well, you've really always been a fan, but now we know you're a fan. Thank you again for
She
listening.
she's like John Cena in Fast and Furious. She's always been there, but we're only mentioning her now. You can't see me.
But hey guys, like remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It does kind of motivate us. That's why we get excited when we hear that stuff. So that's gonna do it for us here today. We'll catch you next time. Same streaming time, same streaming platform. Later, everybody.